Welcome back. We are glad you are still keeping us company here on Good Morning Kenya. In case you are just joining us, karibu tena sana. You are right in time for our second conversation on our Family Check segment. And as we always make it a priority here on Good Morning Kenya, every first Monday of every month, or rather the first week of every month, we try and have conversations around mental health, given it has become a reality that so many people are struggling with. So if you are part of these people that are struggling with one issue or the other, we welcome you to be part of these conversations. We are here to help you better understand how to cope with some of these life challenges that we are all facing. Now today we still have with us Dr. Beatrice Maingi. She is a counseling psychologist as well as the founder of Nobility Restoration Center. Karibu sana daktari.
Asante Jain.
Thank you for always making time to be with us.
Most welcome.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yeah.
Remember, the hashtag to use is Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. At KBC Channel 1 is our official station handle both on Twitter and on Facebook. And you can also tag me as well. My handle is Jain Wambui across all the social media platforms. Now, Doc, today we're going to be talking about something that for most people is oxymoronic, smiling depression. Now, these are two words that don't make sense together.
Yes.
And it is something that so many of us don't even know is a reality. But from where you sit, from where you stand, you know, your interaction with the people, what is smiling depression?
Okay, smiling depression is depression in all definition of the word depression, but it is depression that is masked. Someone will have all the common features of depression, the sadness, the hopelessness, but they will wear a mask of a smiling face. So this is a depression that is hidden behind a smiling face. You will not find it in the DSM-5. It is not one of the...
It is not categorized.
It is
as
not.
a mental
It is
disorder.
not categorized.
Yeah.
But it is a major depressive disorder, which is hidden behind a mask of a smiling face. This is a person who is suffering, but they are hiding their disease. They are hiding their illness.
Isn't this dangerous?
It is very dangerous. It is very dangerous because such people will miss out on any help that could be available because they'll go about their duties. No one knows that they are suffering. But inside them, and when they are alone in their room, is when they let the mask down, and then the crying, the sadness, and the hopelessness, it all comes back. And these are the people who are at a very great risk of suicide.
Now, you find that also from the research that I was doing, that those people who might be suffering from smiling depression are normal or even high-functioning individuals who are achievers. They go about their day well, they work well, they interact with people well. How then do you even know that you could be going through smiling depression and yet you are functioning normally?
Okay, unfortunately, such people may not even know that they are suffering from depression.
And that's where the problem is.
And that's where the problem is. Others may know, because like someone was asking the other day, is it that there is an increase in depression or is it an increase in awareness? But you'll find that what is happening is that there is an increase in awareness. So most people will know what are the common features, what are the common symptoms of depression. And because that is exactly what they feel, they will try to do the opposite. So you find that they are high functioning, they are keeping a job, they have a family, they have what we can say their life is all together. All put together. But inside them they are suffering. They have all the symptoms of depression, which are hidden from the rest of the world. But the only people who may know are the close family members. Because we say even when someone is smiling, even when they are going about their job normally, when you know a person very well, you'll be able to tell that this is not who they are, that there is something is wrong.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, again, we invite you to be part of this conversation. This is all about high-functioning mood disorder that, medically speaking, has not been diagnosed per se, but it is a condition that so many people are struggling with. And as per Dr. here, it is a major depressive disorder that you and I could be going through, but we don't know because we have mastered a way of functioning on a very high scale, popularly called as high functioning or high functionality. So be part of this. We welcome you to share with us your thoughts, and we will be addressing them as we go on with this discussion. Now, Doc, I also came across an article that indicated that this category of people who might be having this smiling depression are also among the group that have high suicide risk. Yes,
because what you find is that depression is a very high contributor to suicide. And most people who are depressed, they are hopeless, they have low energy. So they may have the suicidal thoughts, but not the energy to execute the real suicide. Yeah. But the person with smiling depression, they have the energy and they have hidden their symptoms from others. So when they have the suicidal thoughts, they will quickly execute the suicidal thoughts because they have the energy and then their symptoms are hidden from other people. So the rate of suicide among the smiling depression is higher than those whose symptoms are clear to... Who present with the classic symptoms when it comes to depression. Yes, yes. Now, I was just looking at some of the triggers that could maybe push the category of people with smiling depression overboard. And let's just start with something that has clearly proven itself here in our Kenyan space, and this is about relationship squabbles and breakups. Yes. What is the link that maybe you could identify between a smiling depression and the rate of murder cases that we are seeing between couples in this day and time? I think, like we started by saying that smiling depression is very dangerous because someone will have the symptoms which are hidden from others. So even when they are suffering, no one will know. Even when they are suffering in a relationship, no one will know. So even by the time the emotions escalate to a point where they want to kill someone, the other person will be defenseless because they will not see it coming. So you find that in relationships, when there is a person who is suffering from smiling depression, it's a very, very dangerous thing because the person who has the smiling depression may actually execute something thoughtless, like even killing someone. And the person who is getting killed may not be ready for it because all along they may not have known that this person is suffering. That's what makes it very dangerous in a relationship. All right. Yes. Now, another aspect that I did find brings along this smiling depression is among the people that are considered perfectionists. Yes, yes. Tell us more a bit about this. A perfectionist is a person who they want things to be done in a certain way. It is either my way or the highway. And they don't know how to cope with any form of disappointment. So when disappointments happen, maybe in a place of work or in a project that they're doing, it is too much for them to handle. And you see, by the time they're executing the project, they have the energy, they have the high expectations, and then somehow things don't go the way they wanted. So now the issue of smiling depression comes in because those are the people who are likely to hurt themselves because they cannot face, you know, the disappointment. They cannot imagine someone telling them this is not good enough because they want things to be, it is either good or nothing else, nothing in between. They see things in black and white, nothing in between. It has to be perfect. Yes. And that is a problem because life is not perfect. Things are not, they don't always go the way we expect. So someone who is not able to handle disappointment is at a risk of what we are calling smiling depression. Because again, they will not even want to show that they're disappointed. You see, now the problem continues. They still want to stay happy and to show that, oh, it doesn't matter. But inside them, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. But inside them, they are dying from inside. Well, we see so many young people saying, you know, you have to fake it until you make it. Yes, yes. Is that a terrible or risky mentality that we are peddling? Okay, it works in one way, but then someone must know when to stop. Have limits. You have limits. Yes, you can fake it because there is something you are trying to achieve. Because we say when you set a bar at a certain level, then there is a likelihood that you may achieve. But then if it is taking too long and the frustration is too much, at what point do you stop? Because that is where the problem now starts. You can fake it till you make it, but then you can fake it until when it is no longer
viable.
It is no longer viable.
Okay.
Yes.
Now that brings me to now social media is also another cause of smiling depression.
Yes.
And we have seen so many people lose their jobs, especially over the past year and a half or so, but they are still struggling to maintain a certain way of living and consequently maybe sliding into this space of smiling depression. Is this something that you can actually say can lead to smiling depression, social media?
Largely, especially among young people. Because when you look at the social media, everyone seems to be doing so well. Everyone's life seems to be going
struggling.
so... No one is struggling. And no one will post pictures of them struggling.
Yes.
So people feel like they're being left out. So you feel that you have to put up some appearances. You don't want to be the odd one out. So you have to keep up a smiling face even when you know that things are not going very well. So it actually, social media has been attributed to be one of the causes of this smiling depression. Because we have this thing that young people are calling fear of being left out.
FOMO. Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out, you see? So even the issue of having your life not going very well is like missing out. It's like missing out. So you want to keep up with the Joneses. You want to fit within those people who are doing well. So even when someone is suffering, they have to keep up their appearances, they have to post the pictures of a smiling face, and yet inside them, they are dying. And that is why you see people are posting those smiling faces and even posting messages of how well they are doing and then going back home and committing suicide. So how do you put the two together? Meaning that this person, much as they may have been smiling, that was not exactly what was happening inside them.
Now, what do you make of parents who open these social media accounts for their children who are maybe considered, or most of them are under the age of 18? From a psychological standing, do you think also this predisposes these children from a younger age to smiling depression?
It does contribute because there are things for everything should be age appropriate. Will this child even handle this, this attention? It's like opening a door too early for a child to enter into a space where they don't belong. So it means that they may not actually manage to handle this attention, and then again, if that attention starts going down, what will you do to that child? So there are people who open those accounts, but then that child must be managed very well by a professional, so that this doesn't get into their space, in their head, and then interfere with their future, because it can. Okay. That's why we talk about age-appropriate content. Yeah.
And that brings me to the next aspect, and this is all about esteem and self-image, also linked to social media, also leading to smiling depression. Is there a direct link when it comes to our self-esteem and also tied to the things that we achieve in life?
Yes, because like we said, smiling depression is someone who is trying to hide their true feelings. So you may know deep within that you have low self-esteem, but you don't want people to know. So you do the opposite. Actually, we call it a defense mechanism, because you're trying to make people see you in a different way. You want to appear as someone who is confident, as someone who has high self-esteem, but knowing deep within that is not who you are. So that is still a problem, because whether you act or not, that problem still remains. Unless you do something, you have an intervention to ensure that you work on your self-esteem.
Yes.
If it's just hiding it, it will come out in its own way.
In one way or the other?
In one way or another.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I want us to talk about life changes. And for most people, when you're going through some changes in life, you're bound to have a stressful period.
Yes.
At what point does it cross from just regular stress to smiling depression? Because even I cannot tell the difference therein. Challenges are abound, stress work, family work, stresses, children stressing you as a parent, finances stressing you. So at what point does it cross over from just kawaida stress to smiling depression when you're dealing with life changes?
Okay, you see, the difference between stress and depression is that stress has a cause. You can put your finger to what is causing the stress, like what you're calling the life changes. Maybe a job loss, maybe a new baby, you know, maybe a lost relationship. You can put your finger. But when it comes to depression, it's just prolonged sadness that you cannot explain. And it goes for more than 2 weeks. Sadness, hopelessness, losing interest in things that were previously enjoyed. And this thing seems not to be going away. And then is it immobilizing? You know, depression immobilizes such that you find that you're not able to do other things. Like you find someone is now starting to miss work, someone is not able to even have social, you know, interactions. It's like they are stuck. They are immobilized. They've been arrested by that condition. So that is what tells the difference. Because when it is stress, you get out of it after a while, maybe when the problem dissipates. But depression, hopelessness, that's why someone described depression as being in a deep black hole, that you can see the light up there, but you don't know how to get there. But stress, you see, it's a life, you know, event. And if it is a loss of a job, after some time, maybe you start writing other, you know, applications, and you start, you know, getting out of the black hole. But depression is like you can't move. It is immobilizing. It is arresting. Yeah.
Now, looking at the male and female gender roles come into play, because from the previous discussion, we saw that women are more predisposed to having, twice as likely to have a major depressive episode throughout their lifetime. Now, when it comes to smiling depression, from what you have seen, is it the female or the males that are most of the time presenting with this?
The males, because of culture, you see.
And stereotyping.
And stereotyping and judgment. Because, you know, when you tell people that you're depressed, it's a sign of weakness. You know, you have to be a man. You'll be told, man up. So they'll want to hide those feelings of depression. And actually, for women, we say that women, they suffer more from depression. But you see, women speak more. They share their feelings and their emotions with others, and so they are able to kind of have some relief. But men will bottle it up. They will not speak because of a sign of weakness. And that's why we say that there are more women having depression, but more men committing suicide. Why?
The management of it?
The management of it, because they will not speak up. They hide their feelings until they cannot manage it anymore. And then also when it comes to the methods of suicide, men choose more lethal methods. So when they attempt, they are more successful at committing suicide. Yes. So that is what now causes the difference. Women will suffer more from depression, but men will commit suicide more because of their choice of methods, and also because they don't share their issues. Because you see a man in the African setup, you don't go talking about your problems. You man up.
You're not supposed to show weakness.
You are not supposed to show your emotions. You are not supposed to cry. But you see, for women, when they are stressed, they will cry. And you know, tears are very therapeutic. You feel a relief. But a man will carry their problems until they can't do it anymore.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the diagnostic part of it all, not many will come to you as a counselor saying, I feel I'm going through this. But for those who are watching us today, what are some of those telltale signs that could be indicating that you could, as an individual, could be going through smiling depression, and yet you're not conscious of it? What do we need to look out for?
Okay, there will be change in lifestyle, especially the close family members. They're the first contact people to tell there is something is not okay with this person. Much as they are smiling, much as they look, put together, something is not okay. And the first help that you can give such a person is to point out to them what you have observed. Because as long as someone thinks that no one knows that they are suffering, then the problem can continue. But the moment you tell them, I think there's something is wrong. Much as you look happy, something is a problem.
Is a miss.
So you'll see some change in their eating habits. Maybe they'll eat less or eat more. You'll see a change maybe in their sleeping habits. You will also see their hygiene. Some will stop letting themselves go. So you'll be able to observe some of those things in a person. So much as they are putting up a happy face, as a family member, there are things you'll be able to see that can tell that something is wrong with this person. And what you can do is maybe offer them information about depression, about smiling depression. Let them know what it means. And then you can also offer maybe to accompany them to see a therapist. Because sometimes you see this person who has smiling depression is actually in denial.
Yes.
So even accepting to go for help will not be easy. So you can offer to accompany them to see a therapist. You can offer them transport. Just show them support. Because they're hiding, because they think no one is there to help them. So if you offer that kind of support, maybe they may open up and, you know, agree to go for help.
Okay, I have Clean here. This is through a message that has been sent to me directly.
Yeah.
They're asking, why do teens hide behind a smile? And maybe you could talk about that relationship of smiling depression and our teen phase. Because the whole question of, will I really get the support that I need from my parent comes into play. Most of the time when you were, you know, just looking back at that phase, when we were teenagers, there's so much that you kept to yourself that even to date some of our parents don't even know. What that smiling depression, looking at that phase, is it a coping mechanism for our teens, or what is it?
It is, you have called it correctly.
Yeah.
It's a coping mechanism. You see, teenage is a happy phase of life, you know. Much as there are those, you know, hormonal imbalances when
raging hormones.
Yes, at one point you're happy, at one point you're sad, but you see, they want to hide that sadness from their friends because they want to fit in. It is still the same thing we said about wanting to fit in. And the teenagers, they will want to, you know, they feel that if I tell people that I'm suffering, then they will not enjoy my company.
Yes.
I'll not be their friend anymore. They fear rejection because at that stage, the people who matter more to a teenager are friends, not even parents.
The peers.
Yes, the peers.
Oh,
the
trust
peers.
me, I know.
Yes, yes. So it doesn't matter what the mother or the father is saying. What are my friends saying? Are they going to accept me? Are they going to reject me? So they'll do anything that is humanly possible, including putting up a happy face so that they can fit within their peers. So much as the parents may be telling them, something is not okay. Can we talk about it? Can we help you? But if the teenagers, you know, everyone is happy, they want to fit there, not what the parents are saying, because those are the opinion makers, quote to quote, you know, in that phase.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I also have somebody who is asking, what is the difference between smiling depression and bipolar disorder at this point?
Okay, those are two different conditions.
Yeah.
Because, bipolar, you know, bi means two.
Yes.
It means that someone has two extreme emotions. That is depression, and you know, it's called what? The high and low. Okay. High and low. We call it manic depression. Manic means high, depression low. So at some point, someone is happy, they're excited, you know, but then the next moment they don't want to see anyone, they want to sleep, they are even suicidal. That is bipolar. But depression is, we call it unipolar because it is just one mood of extreme sadness, extreme hopelessness. So bi will be two, but depression will be one mood. That is a depressed mood.
Okay.
Hopelessness, sadness, loss of interest, and at the extreme, suicidal.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, there's somebody else who I think is just joining the conversation. They're asking, smiling depression is actually a thing? Yes, it is a thing, in as much as it has not been categorized medically as a mental disorder, right?
It is, you know, it is depression.
Yes.
Let's start there. It is depression
in itself,
but it is hidden. Someone is hiding their depression. It is just the way you can have a wound, But because you don't want people to know, then you cover it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, keep sending through your questions. We thoroughly appreciate them. The hashtag still remains to be Good Morning Kenya at KBC Channel 1 at Jain Wambui. We are going to be addressing them with Dr. as we keep on with this conversation. We have a few minutes to go, and we can always help you in one way or the other. Now, when it comes to the treatment options that are available for smiling depression,
yes,
is it similar to the traditional forms of treatment that we know for depression, or there are those specific treatments that come into play when we're talking about smiling depression?
Okay, the treatment would be the same.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference would be now accessing treatment for someone who has smiling depression, because like we have said, this person is in denial. So getting them into treatment will be, that is where the challenge is.
Mm-hmm.
But once they get into treatment and they go to a therapist or a psychiatrist,
mm-hmm,
the treatment will be the same. They will either be put on medication, that is the pharmacological approach, and then there is the counseling.
Yes.
And there will be issues of lifestyle change,
mm-hmm,
you know, just advice on lifestyle change. So the treatment will be the same. It is biopsychosocial, what you call biopsychosocial.
Okay.
That is medication, psychotherapy, and then behavior change.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, there's someone who's asking, how can exercise be used to deal with smiling depression?
Mm-hmm.
I think they're coming from an informative point of standing. Exercise as a form of therapy?
It is a form of therapy.
Yes.
Because maybe what we need people to understand is that, let's settle the fact that smiling depression is depression. Actually, it is major depression that is hidden behind a smiling face. And one of the management of depression is actually regular exercise.
Yes.
Because exercise, you know, releases the good feel hormones.
Endorphins, yes.
The endorphins, yeah. So you feel good. And the more you do it, the more this sadness and the hopelessness will dissipate. Of course, combined with other, you know, other management, you know, trials that someone will be engaging in. Mm-hmm. Besides exercise, there is also the medication, there is also the counseling, there is also what we call the cognitive behavioral therapy, where someone is now being taught how to think again, you know, to stop thinking illogically. Because a depressed person mostly will be thinking, no one loves me, I have lost hope, no, I will never make it, this is too much, I am a burden to people, you know. So someone is now taught how to, you know, think positively. Because even from research, it has been found that people who have depression have negative thoughts. So you'll find someone who has a very good life, but because they have negative thoughts,
yes,
they never appreciate even their own lives. And that is why you'll find people who are very successful. Like the story of Robin Williams. You know, he left people in stitches, laughing from his jokes.
Yes.
And then he went straight home and committed suicide. We have pastors who have left their congregations praying, you know, filled with the Spirit of God, and then they go home and commit suicide. We have a case of a pastor's wife who said, I woke up in the morning a pastor's wife, but suicide made me a pastor's widow. Because the man went to church, he preached very well, no one suspected anything was wrong, but when he went home, he committed suicide.
Wow.
Yeah. So depression, so it is depression, like we're saying, but that is hidden behind a smiling face. And that is why when we talk about treatment and even the interventions will be the same. As long as we get someone to accept that there is a problem, and then they access help.
Okay.
Yes.
So yes, smiling depression is a thing. It is major depressive mood disorder that needs to be addressed and treated as soon as possible. So if you have been watching this discussion and you feel in one way or the other you could be going through what we've just talked about, please seek help. We don't want to see. Every day we hear so many cases of suicide or murder between couples, between friends, even strangers for that matter. So smiling depression is real, and let us arrest it before we get to that point where we are talking about suicide or murder. Now, with that, we've come to the end of this conversation. Again, this is part of our series of conversations every single month around mental health conversations. And today we have still been speaking with Dr. Beatrice Maingi. She is a counseling psychologist as well as the founder of Nobility Restoration House. I said center at the beginning.
Yes.
Thank you so much for always making time to be with us.
Thank you, Jane, for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for staying with us up until now. We want to put a cap at this particular point, but be sure to join us again tomorrow morning right here on Good Morning Kenya for another fantastic edition of Good Morning Kenya. On behalf of the crew, we wish you a lovely day. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is Jain Wambui.